Hi, I'm Iliana Limon-Romero here with our Orlando City, Orlando Pride, OCB soccer insider, Alicia DelGallo, and we're ready to take reader questions, Twitter Q&A, our favorite thing every Tuesday. Before we get started with the questions, just wanted to give a quick recap because it was quite the week. It's been quite the week for you.
Yeah.
You had an amazing doubleheader. We'll start off with Orlando Pride setting a record. Just talk to me a little bit about what that experience was like and what you saw out there from the Pride and the fans for that home debut.
Well, obviously the fans were amazing. They broke the NWSL record by more than, or almost about 3,000, I think it was. The previous record was about 21,000. They brought over 24,000. So the crowd was great. The fans were going crazy, and the Pride responded. They gave them a win after losing their first game on the road. They came back and they have a victory under their belt. So they're all excited, and they're looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right, so the very next night, you're off back in New York Red Bulls. This one didn't go quite as well for Orlando City, and once again, the refs at the center of attention. What did you see from your vantage point?
They were struggling. They were getting pressured a lot of the game. Joe Bendick was coming up with big save after big save after big save. They had a little trouble with turnovers. They were turning the ball over cheaply. But they maintained a 1-0 lead despite all of that through most of the game until the 65th minute. And the bad call on Kyle Larin, as everyone knows, wasn't called for a red card when it clearly should have been. And after that, there was 3 goals in a 10-minute span. So
that'll do it. All right,
Yeah.
So that brings us to what's going to be the topic of a lot of these Twitter questions. It looks like, to straight from the top, will Heathy drop Brek after such bad defending in NY? So is midfielder, not a defender, in my opinion. Bowden at left back and Shea at left middle for me. So this is from Steve Ellis at Manian170. And I guess we're a long way from the Portland win when Brek was rather impressive. What do you think about this question? Any thoughts?
no, he's not going to get dropped. It's Brek Shea. He had maybe a not so stellar game. He was caught forward. I talked to Adrian about that a little bit, and it was just him playing the game. He was trying to be more attacking because they needed more attacking at that point. And yes, he was caught forward a little more than he should have this game, but it's not something that they're going to drop Brek Shea from the lineup over. So it's something that they'll work on, and you can expect to continue seeing him on the field.
Understandable. Like I said, it's just I think we're getting further and further away from that Portland win and the euphoria associated with it. Next question is from @GhostWriter, from Alex Ryder or Ritter. I apologize if I mispronounced that. What can Inchi, nickname for Adrian Heath, do to improve the poor passing and ball movement from the back four to the midfield?
This is tough. I also talked to Adrian today about the passing and the turnovers and things like that, and he said bottom line is that what it's coming down to is that if it doesn't improve soon, it's going to come down to a change in personnel on the field. So right now the midfield there's a lot of midfielders, there's a lot of talent at midfield, and they've just been playing with different lineups and missing different people each week. So the more that he can solidify a lineup and keep it more consistent than it has been, I think you'll see that improve.
Yeah, some of that is a product of injuries. Some of that seems to be just trying to find the right spark and the right balance. It's an interesting problem to have, and one that Orlando City did not have last year because they lacked the depth at that position to really have a variety of options. All right, so we have an Orlando Pride question up next from @Trey Helwig. Trey Helwig, long-term plan with Leanne and Apple, ? So this is Leanne Sanderson and Sarah Applehagen. Seemed more dangerous both games with Leanne on the field.
Yeah, so Leanne, definitely. Everyone can see that she brings a spark when she gets on the field. And Coach Tom Sermani mentioned that as a creative midfielder, he thinks she's the best overall soccer player that they have in the midfield. So he is very impressed with her. It's not something, her coming off the bench is not something that's not how it's going to be every week. It was just with the time that they had together and with what he thought they needed. He thought they needed to stay as consolidated as possible throughout the game, and then needed her to come off and give a spark if when she did come off the bench. But that's not something that's going to happen throughout the entire season. You will probably see more of her than you have in the first 2 games.
Very good. Well, there's no question she's a spark, and that is a tremendous asset for a coach to be able to change the game, to flip the order, to just really immediately invigorate your team. So quite interesting. All right, from Orlando City SC Brazil at Blog Orlando City. So we got a ton of questions. I'm going to say up front, we're not going to be able to get to all the questions from this particular person. We appreciate them, though. We love the reading. First thing, though, Heath must have known this was a counterattack game. Why the 4-4-2? Is he not doing his homework? This is for the game that was at New York Red Bulls.
Right.
Again, you see frustration set at any time that there's a loss, but from your perspective, thoughts on this particular game and using that particular formation?
I think it's safe to say that Adrian is doing his homework. He's paying attention. He's watching the games. It's just there are, like I said, part of it is there's options, and you go by whatever you see on the field at the time, and what he's seen at training was a Julio Baptista who looked good and looked like he could help and looked like it would be a good opportunity to have him with Laren on the field to attack, and I think that went along with it when he said he would have done things a little differently had Kaká been on the field, but that wasn't the case this week, and Julio had been looking good in practice, and it was just an opportunity to do that, and it had looked like it was working for a little while.
Early in the game. It wasn't Orlando City's best game, and I don't know that you can put that all on a coach. I think there were some effort plays. I think there were some bounces on the pitch that people were still adapting to. You can tell that there's a lack of consistency and continuity amongst the lineup, which, again, there are many reasons for that. Yeah. And then there's the fact that the New York Red Bulls were desperate for a win.
So they were so fired up. All of Bradley Wright-Phillips, leading goal scorer, hadn't scored a goal all year. They were fired up for this game.
And give us a sense, the stadium, you were there, they had a record crowd, they were celebrating their 20th anniversary.
They were celebrating their 20th anniversary, they were celebrating their goalkeeper setting a record for the most consecutive starts. So they were celebrating a lot, they were fired up. They had been embarrassed pretty much by Orlando City last year at Red Bull Stadium, and it was a lot of emotion for them at home. So.
All right, so I'm still going to take another one from Orlando City SC Brazil at Blog Orlando City. This one, again, I think encompasses most of the other questions. The British Brigade have a very poor style of football, in his opinion. Long balls. Has there been talk of a new head coach? So like I said, I feel like this encompasses all the different questions in the general tone of things. So thoughts on any chatter about a new head coach?
Within the organization, no, absolutely not at this point. Outside of the organization, fans, tend to get riled up after losses and a few draws. I think it's important to remember that, there have been some things that you see on the field that could be improved, but they're by no means, they're not New York Red Bulls who lost 6 games, at the start of this season. They're no means in a horrible position. And yes, there can be improvements. No, I don't think there's talk at this point of there being a new head coach. So, I'm not going to comment on the first part of that.
It's the life of the coach. I think styles of play, different things that you're seeing. It's still early in the season. I know we keep saying that, but it really is a long season. We're looking at going all the way through October. We're nowhere near October now.
And they're not doing that. They're not at the bottom of the rankings. It's not like you can't see the talent in the team and flashes of brilliance when they come together. They're not far away from where they need to be. And as much as I don't want to blame it all on the refereeing, but in a few games calls went a different way. They could be still leading the East. So
yeah, by that tally, by what I think is a fairly reasonable tally, it's 7 points in the last 3 games, which is a significant amount. Right. It's a lot of stuff not going your way. So they have to hope that they start to get momentum and not let that get to them. That's the biggest challenge, I think, at this point, not letting that get in their heads.
Yeah, when a call, and it's tough to think that it didn't, as much as they'll say that doesn't matter and they keep playing and they keep playing. It's tough to see when a call does, get missed and then 3 goals are scored in 10 minutes, maybe it's something a little psychological there.
Yeah, it can be deflating. All right, we have another question from Dennis at Oral Pride City. So I'm going to answer the first one, even though we already answered this online. Where can I watch the Q&A? You can watch the Q&A every week at OrlandoSentinel.com. So totally available.
Even if we forget to tweet out the link, or I forget to tweet it out from my account, you can always see it at OrlandoSentinel.com.
Yeah. Very simple. Okay, so my question is, why does at Oral Pride team not have their solo website?
Okay, so Orlando City is an umbrella corporation. I know when we say Orlando City, you think the MLS team, but it's Orlando City SC incorporates Orlando City's MLS team, the Pride, and OCB, and they're all on that same website. And you'll see that with all of the NWSL teams who have, I guess, brother teams in the MLS, they're on the same website. They'll have a tab on the website. You know, the first team will have a tab, Pride will have a tab, OCB, and that's across NWSL teams who are related to an MLS team.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a snub. If anything, it's an easy way to find it. I mean,
right,
if you've got a lot of people who are accustomed to going to OrlandoCitySC.com, having the Pride right there, having OCB right there, having them link off is helpful. Yeah. But, you know, if the fan support goes crazy and continues to sustain, there's a lot of different things that I think Orlando City SC will be looking to add.
Yeah, I mean, they just started.
They just started.
Yeah, they're still trying different things out as far as within the organization and what they're doing for the Pride, and I would expect to see changes for a long time.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily come up here, but I'd heard a lot of questions in general on social media immediately after the opener. Tailgate hours, tailgate lots open 3 hours before instead of 6 hours before. Didn't see the confetti cannons that you're used to, or
people were not happy with that.
And the cannons, just the fireworks, everything. Beth Kassab, our columnist, attended the game, reached out to Orlando City SC, got some feedback on it, and they just basically said, look, we're trying it out. We're trying to see how many fans are going to show up.
Right.
We're trying to gauge what their interest is. Is there an appetite for 6-hour tailgate instead of 3-hour tailgate? And if there is, they're absolutely going to work toward accommodating that. I think there's going to be a push for some confetti. I think the glitter bombs
should be. You can probably expect to see confetti soon.
I got to think they're going to win their way into some confetti, although there's a lot of goals. It's going to be a lot of confetti.
I think part of the tailgating thing was, too, I mean, they mentioned that the crowd is a lot different. There's a lot more families and children going to the Pride games, so I think testing the 3-hour tailgate had something to do with that.
Absolutely. It also is, they pay for the venues, the security element of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the head of the Crown, the Orlando Pride support group, also told Beth Kassab from the Sentinel was like, it's not necessarily a slight. This is just trying to be financially prudent. If you were to anticipate you were going to have the exact same type of crowd you would have had at an Orlando City game, then where does that put you if you accidentally overspend massively? What do you have to take away from later? They are trying to grow this long term, and they started the USL team very small here way back when.
Yes, they did.
And they grew it up to this level, and I think this one is accelerating and advancing very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see. I think if the fans continue to demand it, if they continue to support it, then you're going to see all the things that you want to see at Orlando Pride games.
I agree.
All right. So we've got one other question. More on Adrian Heath. Meared's beards. How could it be a Q&A without Meared's beards? Kyle Meardo.
That was strange. He was missing.
Yeah, I know. So, all right, sloppy play by OC last game. How does Heath plan to address that for the next game? We rely on Kakao way too much. Will he be ready?
Adrian thinks that Kakao will be ready for the New England game. Yes, he has said he believes he'll be ready. The first team and the starters trained inside today, so I didn't get a look at them, but the reserves were outside training with Adrian, and I spoke with him afterwards. He thinks that Kakao will be good to go for this weekend, and he said, you know, they know what to expect with New England, so this time they know exactly what to expect. There's
there you go. There's Kakao.
That's a Portland game. Never mind.
Yeah.
So he knows what to expect with New England. It's not going to be a huge surprise. They're going to work on, ball control this week. Time of possession was something that was a big strength of theirs, and it hasn't been the past few games. So they're trying to get that back and really work on that this week, and hopefully get Kakao back on the field.
I will say, too reliant on Kaká seems like a bit of a stretch to me. Former FIFA World Player of the Year, you're going to really expect to rely on him. And he is just, as much as people had looked him, I think, very early in his time with Orlando City to be a goal scorer, the fact of the matter is he's a conductor. He's an elite conductor on the field. He gets the ball in space, he attracts attention, and he gets the ball to other people. So it is a huge adjustment when he's not on the field. If he's not there, how you adapt to that, it just changes everything from set pieces, which you're seeing right there, which he's phenomenal at, to everything that they do. It just it changes.
I mean, you think about the attempts that they had on goal. Seb Hines, when Kaká is delivering the set pieces, Seb Hines gets his head and gets a shot on goal like 3 times a game. So it does change a lot. But I mean, you could say that about some of the other top players on the team. I'd say last game they relied on Kyle Larin a bit too much. He was in goal heading the ball away. But yeah, I think Kaká should be good to go. Like I said, they're going to evaluate him the rest of the week. He wasn't out there today, but they're hopeful, as usual.
Yeah. All right. So, again, if you all have any Orlando City, Orlando Pride, OCB questions, be sure to send them our way. You can send them all week to @OSLions on Twitter, or you can wait until Monday and into Tuesday leading up to 3:30 p.m. when we host our
3, right? We cut it off at 3.
We try to cut it off at 3 o'clock. You might slip in between 3 and 3:30, but really, if you can gap it by 3, you're for sure in.
Yeah.
Unless you send us 20 questions, which is kind of a challenge.
Hopefully, my voice has recovered from all the traveling by next week.
All the traveling. All right. So again, 3:30 p.m. Twitter Q&A. Send us your questions. Keep staying in touch for all the latest updates on all of Orlando's soccer teams. So many at this point. Keep following Alicia DelGallo at OS Lions with Alicia. I'm Iliana Limon-Romero at the Orlando Sentinel. Thanks for joining us.